The rain was relentless that night, pounding against the tall glass windows of the city's most luxurious hospital suite. Outside, the world was bustling, lights flickering on wet streets, cars rushing past, and people hurrying home. But inside, time felt frozen. A young boy lay still on the hospital bed, pale against the crisp white sheets. His once lively eyes stared blankly at the ceiling, his body unmoving, his soul seemingly trapped inside a prison of flesh and bone. He was the son of one of the most powerful CEOs in the city, yet all the wealth, influence, and connections in the world had not been able to fix what had happened to him. A terrible car accident months ago had left him paralyzed from the neck down, and the doctors had spoken in careful, somber tones. There was little hope. The CEO, a man used to bending fate to his will, now stood powerless, his expensive suit soaked in quiet despair, his hands gripping the bed rail as if holding on to the last thread of his own strength. Before we dive deeper into this unforgettable journey of heartbreak, resilience, and unexpected kindness, we want to pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of human connection, please take a second to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who might need hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Thread so we can keep bringing you stories that touch the soul. The boy's name was Daniel. He was only 11, yet he had lived a life most children could only dream of: private schools, vacations abroad, a home so big he often got lost in it. But after the accident, those luxuries meant nothing. The mansion had become a silent place where laughter no longer lived. Daniel's mother had passed away years earlier, so it was just him and his father now, yet they seemed farther apart than ever. The CEO had tried every specialist money could buy, flown Daniel to different countries, sought experimental treatments, and filled the hospital room with cutting-edge machines. But nothing worked. Daniel's body remained still, his voice barely above a whisper, and his spirit dimmed a little more each day. Then came the day everything began to change, though no one could have predicted it. The CEO had reluctantly agreed to let the hospital bring in a temporary physical therapy assistant. He expected another neatly dressed professional with sterile smiles and rehearsed optimism. Instead, the man who walked in was wearing an old jacket, carrying a worn leather bag, and had eyes that spoke of both deep sorrow and unshakable strength. His name was Jack, a single father raising a daughter on his own. He wasn't there for the money. In fact, he seemed almost uncomfortable in the luxurious setting, but he looked at Daniel in a way no one else had. Not as a patient. Not as a hopeless case. But as a boy who still had a life worth fighting for. Jack had been through his own storms. His daughter, Mia, had been born with a rare muscular condition, and for years, doctors had told him she would never walk. But Jack had refused to give up. Through endless hours of unconventional exercises, patience, and unwavering belief, he had helped her take her first steps against all odds. When he saw Daniel lying there, he recognized the same emptiness he had once seen in Mia's eyes, the quiet resignation of someone who had been told too many times what they couldn't do. The early days were not easy. Daniel barely responded to Jack's presence, and his father seemed skeptical of this stranger's methods. Jack didn't bring fancy medical devices or impressive charts. Instead, he brought stories, vivid, colorful stories about courage, about the body's hidden strength, about the mind's power to heal. He brought music, because he knew rhythm could awaken movement where medicine had failed. He brought Mia sometimes, and her laughter would fill the sterile room with warmth that no machine could generate. Slowly, tiny changes began to happen. Daniel's fingers twitched one afternoon while Jack was telling him about climbing a hill with Mia. A week later, his shoulders shifted when Jack played a certain song. The progress was so small it would have gone unnoticed by most, but Jack celebrated every movement like it was a gold medal. As weeks turned into months, the bond between the boy and the single dad grew. Jack's quiet determination began to seep into Daniel's own heart. He started to push against the invisible walls around him. There were setbacks, moments of frustration, even tears. But each time, Jack would remind him, "You're not broken. you're just resting. We're going to wake every part of you up, one piece at a time. Slowly, Daniel's hands began to grip. His arms learned to lift slightly. His voice grew stronger. And with every milestone, the CEO, a man who had measured success in deals and numbers, found himself measuring it instead in the seconds his son could hold a spoon, in the smile that returned to his face, in the laughter that began to echo faintly again in their home. 1 year after Jack had first walked into that hospital room, Daniel stood, trembling, supported by braces, tears streaming down his face, and took 3 small steps toward his father. They were imperfect, unsteady steps, but to the CEO, they were more valuable than any empire he could ever build. And to Daniel, they were proof that hope was never truly gone, not as long as someone believed in him. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness and persistence can change lives in ways money alone never can, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it today, and subscribe to Kindness Thread so we can continue to share stories that inspire. And before you leave, we have one special request. Please comment below with the words, "Never give up," so this message of hope can reach even more hearts. Because sometimes, the person who changes your life forever isn't the one you expect. And sometimes, all it takes to stand again, is someone who refuses to let you fall.